Welcome viewers, the mid-season finale of Georgie and Mandy's first marriage lands with far more emotional weight and interpersonal tension than light-hearted humor, and that imbalance ultimately defines the episode, for better or worse. While the series has never shied away from conflict, this particular installment leans so heavily into frustration, bitterness, and unresolved disputes that it often forgets to make room for the warmth and comedy that typically soften those edges. As a result, the episode feels unusually bleak for a show that usually thrives on mixing chaos with charm. Season 2, Episode 9 puts Georgie in a particularly precarious position, nearly costing him his business partnership with Rueben just as Fagenbacher begins plotting his own brand of retaliation. All of this unfolds against the backdrop of what is technically a holiday episode, though it may be one of the least festive Christmas-themed installments imaginable. While there are occasional moments of humor sprinkled throughout the hour-long runtime, they are frequently overshadowed by prolonged misery and tension, making it difficult to fully enjoy them. That isn't to say the episode is devoid of comedy altogether. There are jokes, amusing reactions, and bits of character-driven humor scattered throughout. However, these moments are buried beneath an overwhelming sense of dread and dissatisfaction that lingers from start to finish. Instead of feeling like a seasonal pause meant to reflect, laugh, and recharge, the episode feels more like a continuation of unresolved stress, which may leave viewers feeling drained rather than entertained. One of the biggest structural issues with the mid-season finale is its format. Rather than presenting a single cohesive story told in two parts, the episode is essentially two separate and fairly ordinary episodes stitched together. This choice is especially disappointing given that this installment serves as the final episode before the holiday break. A unified, hour-long narrative with a clear emotional through line would have felt more intentional and impactful. The first half of the episode is particularly frustrating. It serves as a follow-up to what was arguably the silliest episode of Season 2, the one involving Georgie and Rueben sabotaging Fagenbacher's trucks. That storyline was already pushed to its comedic limits the first time around, and revisiting it feels unnecessary rather than rewarding. The antics don't escalate in an interesting way, nor do they provide new insight into the characters involved. Even more problematic is the pacing. The most significant emotional developments don't occur until the final 10 minutes of the episode, and even then, they resolve almost as quickly as they appear. This leaves the bulk of the runtime feeling like filler rather than meaningful progression. When the story finally begins to dig into something substantial, it's over before it can fully land. Ruben's brief decision to walk away from the partnership is a prime example of this issue. His frustration stems from Georgie's refusal to heed his advice about leaving Fagenbacher alone, and while this conflict has the potential to be genuinely compelling, it's handled in a way that feels predictable. The moment Rueben storms off, it's immediately apparent that this rift won't last long. Because the fallout feels temporary and inevitable, it's difficult to emotionally invest in it. The episode might have been far more interesting if Rueben had made a more decisive and lasting choice, such as leaving McAllister's altogether to work with Fagenbacher. That kind of development would have had real consequences, both personally and professionally, and would have forced Georgie to confront the limitations of his ambition. One of the core issues between Georgie and Rueben has always been their fundamentally different perspectives on the business. Georgie views the tire shop as the foundation of something much larger, a potential national chain that could expand well beyond its humble beginnings. Rueben, on the other hand, sees it simply as a job. He shows up, does the work, and expects stability, not grand visions of future success. This philosophical divide makes their partnership feel inherently unstable. In the long run, it's hard to imagine them continuing to work together without further conflict. Given that inevitability, it might have been more effective to address the dissolution of their partnership now, even if it meant dealing with hard feelings and awkward transitions. A clean break, painful as it might be, could have set the stage for more meaningful growth on both sides. Don't forget to like, share, and comment on our channel on Bullseye's Movies.